Hi, I'm Dylan.
And I'm Ryan, and welcome to the show where we review books and their movie adaptations. One of us reads the book before watching the movie, the other watches the movie before reading the book, and then we give you our recommendations for which order gives you the best experience.
Awesome. And today's episode is Sphere. So we are reading and watching Sphere. And I read the book first, so let me talk about the book. Sphere is a science fiction novel originally published in 1987 by Michael Crichton, after he had published The Andromeda Strain and before he published Jurassic Park. Here's a synopsis of the story. What is Sphere about? When an unusual craft is discovered on the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, the military investigates by putting together a team of scientists based on research done by a psychologist. The research was a speculative report describing what humans should do to prepare for possible contact with unknown life forms. The team descending to the depths of the ocean includes the psychologist who did that study, Norman Johnson, mathematician Harry Adams, biochemist Beth Halpern, and astrophysicist Ted Fielding. Currently, Sphere has a Goodreads average rating of 3.81 out of 5, or about 7.62 out of 10.
All right, and then what is that, 1987? So 11 years later, they made a movie of Sphere, probably off the success of Jurassic Park, which I believe is 1992. So early 90s, and that would have been, I think, probably after or just as ER was starting. ER probably started in 96, so 98 was a clear, like, we gotta get our hands on some Crichton.
Cash in on the Crichton bucks.
Yeah, and so it was directed by Barry Levinson, starring Dustin Hoffman as Norman, Sharon Stone as Beth, Samuel L. Jackson as Harry, Liev Schreiber as Ted, and also Queen Latifah as Teenie Fletcher. The nickname. I think it's Alice Teenie Fletcher is her name.
Sounds
I believe.
Right. Yeah.
And then, I don't know if you caught it, I only caught it when I looked at the cast. Huey Lewis as the helicopter pilot in the beginning.
I did notice that. Like, why? I don't know.
I don't know. It currently on Rotten Tomatoes has a critic score of 11%. And an audience score of 38%.
Whoa. Oh, man. People hated it all around.
Yeah.
Okay, but what did we think of it? Because that's what matters here. I'm going to give my scores first. I read the book first. After reading Sphere by Michael Crichton, I gave it a 9.2 out of 10.
Wow.
And then I watched the movie, and I gave that an 8.7 out of 10.
Oh, so very high. So I watched the movie first. I gave the movie a 6.9 out of 10. And then I read the book. I gave the book an 8.3 out of 10.
Okay. Okay. I want to react, but first I need to give a spoiler alert. Okay, we're going to move into discussions of all the details of the book and the movie. We're going to spoil everything that happens. So if you haven't read this, if you haven't watched it, and you care about being spoiled, skip to the end. We'll give you the time for our final recommendations. But if you read it, you watched it, or you just don't care about spoilers, stick around. Here's what we think of all the details.
You like both a lot.
New favorite. The book is my new favorite out of all the things.
That's right. I was trying to think. So you haven't hit out of all the things. Yeah, I've rated two things higher than it. I've rated Under the Skin movie and All the Pretty Horses book. I rated a 9.3. So just barely. You're 9.2, I think you said, right?
9.2 for the book. Book. Well, my highest so far has been 10 Things I Hate About You, which I gave a 9.
Okay.
So yeah, you have a 10 out of 10.
I have a 10 out of 10 and a 9.3.
I forgot you gave All the Pretty Horses a 9.3.
Yeah,
that's really high.
But I do really like this. I mean, 8.3 is a high score, too. But I did not expect you to give it. I'm glad. I really like this book.
I'm surprised I liked the book more than you.
I'm a huge Michael Crichton fan.
That's why I'm surprised, because I only recently started reading Michael Crichton. I only read The Andromeda Strain before this, which I also love. Mm-hmm. But based on your recommendations, so I'm surprised I liked it more. But I loved Sphere. The book is so good. I mean, I just like the idea of it being science fiction, but the main science at play is the psychology.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have
Yeah.
all the different types of scientists, and it's
Yeah.
underwater, aliens maybe, but really the psychology and small group dynamics is the
I wonder
science.
if that's somewhat related to. Well, I mean, I guess Andromeda strain is like a. What would you call that? Pathogenic? I don't know what you call it.
Well,
you know,
virology.
yeah,
I don't know.
virology, something like that. Bent, but that Stephen King, I believe, has a medical school background.
Michael Crichton.
Michael Crichton.
Michael Crichton did go to med school. Yeah.
And so he like case in point, ER. You know, that kind of stuff. So. You know, maybe that ties into, you know, the psychology part. I know there's other scientists in this, and the closest would be like biologist.
The
but
biochemist.
a little bit different maybe than medicine. Maybe that leads to that. But Michael Crichton in general, all his scientific explanations of things are like my favorite parts of it. Like he just goes off on his like just explanations of this quick explanations of how things work and what, you know, the science behind everything.
Yeah, he's so specific. About, I don't know, the real science of things, but also it's very readable, understandable. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, to me, the characters seem like they talk like actual human beings, but also scientists, if that makes sense, you know? Like, I don't know.
Actual human scientists.
Yeah. Because a lot of things get it wrong in science fiction where they talk too much like a stereotype of a scientist. Or someone will be like, in English, please, and then they dumb it down too much.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Where they're just, they are intelligent, they know their stuff, but they talk like they're people.
Yeah.
You know?
That's why I loved, even from the beginning, how they base it off of Norman's study. And he's like, only did the study for the money.
Yeah.
And he made it up because it was about aliens. So he thought it was just like BS government stuff. So it's just, that's a funny situation right from the beginning.
And as far as our movie scores, you even like the movie a lot. 8.7.
Yeah.
I didn't. I mean, I liked it. You know, 6.9 is a light. I liked the movie. Rewatching it for this, I watched this movie when I was a kid, and basically what my note I wrote down about it is I think this movie might be the reason I don't like the water.
So it's effective.
I remembered so many things about about this movie, like in my mind, are always there. The squid situation and you know, the jellyfish thing. Yeah, the jellyfish thing is
the water
big.
snakes.
Yeah,
those things are terrifying.
So all of that stuff is like, I remember all that stuff from this movie, watching it as a kid, and that's almost all I remember. That and the fact that Samuel L. Jackson is in it. And when I first also read this book in middle school, but I watched the movie first at that time. I picture Samuel L. Jackson as Harry, which to jump into one difference there is that that I didn't notice, obviously, as a child. I didn't pay attention to, you know, everybody's so much older than me. But like in the book, Harry is 30. And at the time of filming, Samuel L. Jackson was 50.
Really?
Yeah. He doesn't maybe look 50, but he doesn't look 30 either.
He was 50 in in the 90s?
Yeah, I looked it up.
How old is he right now?
He's like 70
acting.
something.
He doesn't even look 50. Dang,
no, he's
shout
definitely
out Samuel
70.
Jackson.
Yeah,
He looks
you know,
young.
he certainly doesn't look 50 in this book, but he also doesn't look 30. Harry is
I know what
portrayed
you mean.
as like very young. He's the youngest of them there.
Yeah, he is like a prodigy, of course.
Yeah.
So no, he doesn't look as young as he's supposed to be in the book.
Yeah, so that was a.
I'm just shocked he was 50
thing.
then, because like knowing, like still watching Samuel L. Jackson movies today. When I went back to watch Sphere, having never seen it, I'm like, oh dang, he looks
he does
young.
look a lot younger because it was 24 years ago.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Which is shocking to think about. 24 years ago, Samuel L. Jackson was 50. Means he must be 74.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I know he was in his 70s now, but he looks great for 70s.
Oh, yeah.
He looks like amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I would have guessed he's maybe 60. Like, I would have guessed he's 50s now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just on that note, I think Samuel Jackson was, despite his age, the best choice for Harry Adams.
I agree.
Great
I think the casting was actually good almost in all forms. As far as it goes. I mean, and we'll get into some of this stuff as we go right now, a lot of differences.
Yeah.
That it's very different. You know, the
Yes.
core like idea is the same of what they're doing, but there's a lot of things that are different about this movie,
Yeah.
including characters being different.
Yeah,
Between the
okay.
two.
Yeah, before we get into the details, I do want to say I did give the movie a high score, but I recognize it's not like the most well-made movie. There are a lot of things that I don't like that much about it. I think the fact that I loved the book so much
Brought the movie score up. 'Cause
it
you
brought
like
the
to
movie
see
score
it,
up. Yeah, just because I was happy to see it on screen and the action was good
Yeah.
enough. Samuel L. Jackson's cool. So yeah, the differences didn't make me be like, oh, it wasn't faithful to the book. It just made me be like, oh, I'm glad they made this.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot that I can see why it has such low scores on Rotten Tomatoes. So maybe let's get into those things that make it not a great movie. So like I said, I think Samuel L. Jackson was a perfect choice for Harry Adams, but I feel like he's underutilized in the movie compared to how much of a character he is in the book.
Yeah, he's not quite as like argumentative and confrontational in the movie.
Yeah, it's kind of like just weird and creepy. Like he does weird stuff where it's like, what? Like I wrote it down, but one difference is in the movie when he's reading 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and there's that trippy part where a bunch of copies of it appear everywhere. That wasn't in the book. Like there's the whole thing with him reading the book, but there's that creepy stuff they add in the movie where it's like what's his name? Norman Johnson's like, oh, you dropped your book. He picks it up, and then it cuts to Samuel L. Jackson reading it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, starts opening the cabinets, and there's like a bunch of copies of
it's like
book.
they were trying to put in stuff that was similar to what was in the book. There's just so much more in the book that happens, and it makes you think the same thing that we think a lot of times is like, you can't cram all that stuff into a movie. There's so many good details of different things that happen.
I like the way that
stuff.
kind of stuff, like, it did get the same psychological effect where it's like, what's real, what's not. But yeah, I do wish they would have included more of them talking to Computer Jerry. I know that would have been great movie footage of them sitting in front of a computer and typing back and forth, but there's great scenes in the book where like Norman's purposely making Computer Jerry mad, and then it makes Harry mad. Like, don't get it mad. They're getting mad at the same time, right when you're thinking like the computer is Harry. That would have been great Samuel L. Jackson moment in the movie.
I mean, and even that kind of stuff. There's a lot of good action in the book that's not in the movie. Like especially like the whole ending sequence when they're having to wait there and it's really long and they find out that they've all been in the sphere and they have to like put Harry under and that carry people around and geez, it's crazy.
I was surprised by some of the action they didn't put. Like, I kind of like the ending in the movie was different in that it also did that trippy thing where they're in the escape thing, but then they manifest themselves back inside and they're trying to get out again. So they keep manifesting themselves in different places. They're like, we need to get out. Where are we? So that's like an interesting way they did that. Whereas in the book, Norman first left on his own, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because Beth was cracking.
Yeah.
And Harry was just unconscious.
Yeah.
So he's like, fuck it, I'm going to leave. But then he's like, okay, I feel guilty. I'm going to go back and save them. Where kind of, when I was reading the book, I was like, don't go back. Like, there's a bomb going to go off. But it's good that he saves them. But it was interesting how they did it in the movie where Beth goes with him and Harry's awake, but they're manifesting. But the big action thing they left out that I was surprised by is the squid actually getting into the thing and like attacking
into
them.
That other one where Norman goes over, like that's when Norman goes to the sub, right? And isn't that the part in the movie where Beth stops, or when the book, I mean, where Beth stops looking at the monitor?
Oh yeah, she's like, I'll watch you, and then she doesn't.
And he gets over there, the squid comes and is reaching up in there.
Yeah, it gets its tentacle all up in the habitat.
Isn't that when he gets a spear gun? Or the explosive spear gun, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, remember? That's like, whoa.
And there's the whole part where it picks up Norman and the mattress in the thing,
and then he slips out.
And it crushes the mattress. That would have been so crazy.
I know, but 1998,
it
would not have looked good.
Would have done that. Yeah. So maybe it's good that they avoided it for how it holds up.
Yeah, it would have been a worse movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just surprised they didn't try that. They just had the squid approaching, right? They see it on the sonar and then it just goes away or something.
I actually don't remember. It didn't attack the habitat at all.
Maybe it did, like,
I thought
rocket,
it
but
attack. I thought that's why.
that's
what I thought killed Ted. When everything caught on fire and everything, right?
Oh,
when
yeah.
it was attacking and everything was leaking, they had to like fix a leak.
But he gets crushed by something.
Yeah, because he doesn't get killed by the squid directly.
But that is when it's
that's when it's attacking and things are falling down.
That's true. That's a pretty crazy part because everything's on fire, things
Yeah.
are leaking. Yeah, a bunch of people die at that part.
Yeah, which actually brings in the point that I don't remember his name. The like general guy, the guy who's in charge, the military guy.
Yeah.
He in the movie he goes down there with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he gets killed.
Yeah.
Right. But in the book, he doesn't go down there with them.
Yeah, he's not even there.
Yeah. And also in the book, there's another guy, Arthur Levine, marine biologist, who is not in the movie at all, and he doesn't make it down to the habitat. He like gets sick or something and has to go back, and it's like a weird detail in the book. But they just left it out of the movie, which I guess is fine. But
yeah, I mean, there's some details like that in the book you don't need. Like I remember in the original plan in the book, Norman's study, he included a linguist because it was like to communicate with an alien. But then when they're making the underwater thing, they don't include the linguist in their team.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
and actually also I don't remember it being in the movie at all. But there's a lot of stuff in the book that plays into Norman's like characterization and stuff that they do a bunch of extra tests on him at the beginning.
Oh yeah,
because
he's a bit older.
Yeah, but he doesn't know that really until he finds out. He finds it in the logs in the habitat later. He finds the list of people, and he's like the bottom choice because they couldn't get some of the other people.
Yeah,
and they had ruled him out because of his age. But they sent him down there anyway, and he's like, they put me down here even though they knew it was dangerous.
Yeah, they were like, he's not fit.
Yeah,
but then everyone else said no that they reached out to. Yeah, that could have been good in there. Okay, I haven't even looked at my list yet.
Yeah,
I have a long list. This is my new favorite, so I was excited to talk about things. For the movie in general, I did think not as good as the book, of course, but I enjoyed it. It's just fun and interesting to see on the screen. It's like a B movie, B+, in my opinion. I already mentioned Sam Jackson as Harry was awesome, but I wish they'd used him more. I also want to shout out, I think, Liev Schreiber?
Yeah, it's either Liev or Liev. I don't know.
I always thought it might was Liev.
I always say Liev, but Liev Schreiber.
Schreiber. I thought he was a really good casting as Ted. I had only known him as Sabretooth going into watching this. But I like the way he acted. It reminded me of Ted in the book, that he was annoying.
Yeah.
Like overly explaining everything, like the helium part in the movie where they're just kind of laughing at it. And he's like, oh, yes, because the helium activates the larynx. And they're like, yeah, we know, Ted. Like,
yeah.
And and he takes credit for translating the computer thing. He was like, "Oh, that was me that did it."
Oh, I didn't even remember that.
I noticed it in the movie. I was like, "Yeah, this is definitely Ted." So I don't know. I like Liev Schreiber. Okay, but watching the movie after reading the book, I have a long list of differences I noticed. So getting into that, I'm interested to hear what you think of this because the first thing is that I pictured the sphere looking differently when I read the book.
Yeah.
I pictured it silver instead of gold. In the movie, it's like a gold sphere.
I think they say that it's silver in the book. I
couldn't remember, but
I'm pretty sure they do. And I remember, I know that being a difference and also you're going to get to it probably. The surface. Yeah.
In the movie, it's supposed to be like. There's like a pattern that's always changing.
Yeah, that is like concealing where the door is.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's like smooth and.
Yeah, right? Like it would be a big metallic almost.
Yeah,
thing.
but in the movie they make it like it's like
an amorphous
and rippling.
Yeah, like it's
on the surface or something weird. Yeah, and the whole thing, and there's no pattern there or anything.
Yeah.
Plus,
no
like
pattern.
in the movie, they just like basically portray them standing in front of the sphere and then they're gone or whatever, right? They
kind
don't
of like their physical body's still there at first because they like float up into it.
As opposed to like a physical door opening.
Yeah, I liked that in the movie. I mean, in the book.
In the book, yeah.
Because it's like, they're watching Harry on the TV or whatever, and the sphere just slides open, and he walks in. That's so much more like striking to me.
Well, it makes it like, oh, this is an actual like piece of technology, maybe, or object, as opposed to just this mysterious like, what could be, anything, alien being, or I don't know.
Yeah, that makes it more, again, trippy from the beginning. Like, whoa, what is? Did they go inside? So yeah, that's just a big difference in the movie. And
also, in the movie, isn't it like way big? It's like gigantic. I don't think it's. I don't think it's. They say it's that big in the book. I think it's like bigger, a little bit bigger than a person, so that the door is. They just fit inside of it. But it's not like in the movie. It's gigantic.
Yeah,
they're like looking up at it. Yeah.
Yeah, good point. So you got the sphere wrong, Barry Levinson. Levinson. Anyway, back to Sam Jackson as Harry. They added Harry's prediction in the movie. I actually liked that part though. When it's early on when they're down in there and they're going to go to sleep that first night. Harry and Norman are kind of in a bunk together, and Harry's in bed. Norman's taking off his shoes, and then Harry just says, "We're all gonna die down here." And Norman scoots over. He's like, "What? Huh?"
Yeah, that's part of the things that makes in the movie Harry seem like creepy. Really creepy and weird. Yeah, whereas in the book he hid that as his prediction, right? They just found out because he made his will. He was trying to make his will and send it to the surface.
Yeah, right? It doesn't say that from the beginning. Yeah, like in the movie, it's like right away. He's like, "We're all gonna die down here," and then when he first says it, it's just creepy. Like, is this guy going crazy? Which I liked, and I like Dustin Hoffman's reaction where he's just kind of like, yeah. But then, you see that Harry's still all there. He's like, oh, it's simple deductive logic because we looked and it says unknown event. And if we know that it's down here, that means that we never made it to the surface and told anyone. So therefore, we never make it up there. We die down here. Mm-hmm. And you're like, okay, thanks, Harry. Like, good night. So I liked that in the movie because it's kind of cool, creepy thing, but pretty big difference. Mm-hmm. And then just more on Harry being creepy. After going in the sphere, Harry is just way more noticeably weird and acting strange in the movie. It was just way less obvious in the book. Yeah. That something was wrong with him.
Mm-hmm. Which in general, with all of them, Harry, Beth, and Norman who go into the sphere, it's not in the book. It's more subtle. Yeah. That they have, and you have to figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what makes the book so much better is just the subtlety, and it has all the twists and turns and the mystery that always kept me guessing. But the movie has those, but it's so just like jarring and obvious. Oh, and also they added for the movie where the computer says, "Stop calling me Jerry," and that's what makes him figure out that he got the code wrong and he actually said Harry.
Right, yeah, which is kind of doesn't even make sense for how that is supposed to be working. It's supposed to be Harry's subconscious disguising, him as, so he wouldn't ever say that. Yeah.
That's true. That straight up doesn't make sense.
And in the book, he's just trying to figure out more stuff. Like something doesn't make sense to him, so he's just going over the information again, right?
Yeah, he's like, how did you figure out the keyboard thing? And then he finds, wait, he had it wrong. It wasn't J-E, it was H-A. Mm-hmm. And so that's a big thing about how Harry, kind of was decoding it, and he didn't want it to show Harry, so he made it. Mm-hmm.
Which that's a cool thing that Michael Crichton does that I like, that features in Andromeda Strain too. He shows in the book code and stuff like that for how they figured it out and what the actual data is that gets printed on the computer before they decode it. And just for fun, to double check that he did it, I went back after they figure out the code. I went to the original one, and it does say Harry. So if you were to you take the first one when they first decode it, if you would decode it yourself, you'd be like, wait a minute, it says Harry.
Yeah, that's such a cool little
you could figure that out yourself.
Way to do that. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't even think about that, but I do love the way he does that because it really puts you in the mystery when it's like it just shows a bunch of numbers in the book and you're like, what?
Yeah.
And you're like, what does it mean? Yeah, that's a really fun way to do that. Another one that's a difference between how they're acting differently after the sphere is the movie didn't have the scene where Beth tries to seduce Norman in the book, where he can tell that she's acting differently. She like tries to seduce him and he's like, nope, that's when he's like going back to look at the codes or watching the tape or something.
Yeah, that's when she starts it. But the first clue I think in the book that she had gone into the sphere or something like that is when they go to find her in the ship. Was that right after Norman got attacked, or when was that? When she was in the ship and she was eating all those bars that weren't there before, that Norman was pretty sure that weren't there before. That was, to me, was like the first clue that she started to manifest stuff right there, because things look different in there too for her, and that was when they I think he thought about that later about when she went into the ship, like all the crew was female or whatever, right?
Oh yeah, there's that stuff about the psychology of like how you would imagine the people. Yeah, and that just reminded me the only somewhat similar thing I guess they tried to do in the movie is the part where she's like, there's no food. Remember in the movie she's like, there's no food, and they open the cabinets and there's a bunch of food. Yeah. And they're like, what are you talking about, Beth? And she's like, I just opened it and there was no food. Yeah. So they try and do similar trippy stuff. And I noticed one little one that I thought was maybe the replacement of the seducing thing is there's that one out of place line where Beth says, it's me and you, babe, to Norman before he goes off and she's supposed to watch the computer and she doesn't. She's like, it's me and you, babe. And he's like, that's weird that she said that. That was like a little hint in the movie.
Yeah.
I already mentioned the manifesting a bunch of copies of the book that I noticed, and that they're all blank after page 87. I kind of liked that they added for the movie.
Because he's never read past there.
Yeah, he's like, I never read past 87 because I'm too scared of squids. And then once they flip there, the rest of the pages are blank. That wasn't in the book, but that was kind of funny in the movie. One thing that is really weird in the movie that I see why people would not like is the ending, where the ending's pretty much the same, where they agree to forget the sphere.
Yeah.
Because they have the power to, which is the same as the book. But then I couldn't help think, like, why did they have the sphere shoot up out of the ocean and into the sky? And someone on the boat even looks at it like, huh? Like, what the hell was that?
Yeah. I mean, I guess that was the big part that made it. I mean, even just them choosing to forget is kind of like a cheesy like ending kind of thing. But in the book, it's a little bit better because it shows after that happens, there's tells a little bit more, like that they're just now talking about what they have made themselves remember, falsely. They just start talking like that. Amongst themselves, as if, oh man, we just survived that. Oh man, it was horrible.
Yeah,
what happened down
everyone
there?
Died in that accident.
Yeah.
It's an interesting ending, and it's a little bit weird in the book even, but yeah, I mean, then it wraps up the thing where it's unknown, the unknown event, which makes sense for the movie thing too, where how is an unknown event? We have to die down here. So that makes it so they don't have to die, but also no one ever learns about it. Yeah. So it makes sense as an ending, but I can't believe they made the sphere shoot up out of the ocean into the sky. Like, was that supposed to be literal because they forgot it? Or just symbolic of it going away? It
makes more sense if it's literal in the movie, because it's like, why are they showing this symbolic thing in this movie? Like, that's a weird shot to do.
But then, why? Why would that happen? That wouldn't happen. I mean, I guess we're not supposed to know. But also,
they're just trying to get rid of the sphere so that nobody ever could find it again. So they choose to forget it and also shoot it up into space somewhere.
Oh, maybe that was part of their choice. We need to get it off Earth.
Yeah. Does that make more sense for the loop? Is that the loop? Is that they shoot it off into space, and then the ship goes and gets it in the future, and then transports back here, and then they do that again and shoot it back up, So that's its loop.
Could be. But
then where did it come from before that loop?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
And what it made me question is like, they made themselves forget it so no one else would know, too. But then it shows one of the military guys seeing it shoot out of the ocean.
Yeah.
What about that guy who goes back and be like, hey, I saw this
They're
sphere.
gonna be like,
Yeah.
shut up, Josh.
Yeah, shut up, Josh. You're always saying
saying
Spherical.
Yeah. Spherical. Yeah, that's Josh's backstory.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So that's my list of differences. Did you have any?
I think you covered basically all my differences that we talked about, because I stopped writing them down because there were so many. As I was reading the book, I just stopped writing down differences. I was like, there's so many differences that I didn't write them down. Actually, there were a couple more, just little things. I just wrote down that in the book. So, like in the movie, I'm pretty sure they didn't find any English until they're in the ship and they see it on the trash can, right?
Oh, in the movie.
In the movie. Yeah. In the book, they found it at the door, at the keypad or whatever, right?
True, yeah. And that was kind of funny in the book, I thought. Because they were all talking about aliens and everything.
Yeah, and then they're like, wait a minute, what?
It's in English.
Yeah. And then...
oh, yeah, but in the movie, it's also like trash, basura. It has English and Spanish. I
yeah.
think. Yeah, just silly little difference.
Yeah. And then one of the brief a couple of the different manifestations that I thought were interesting were there was like it was in the section called The Visitor, like Harry like manifested like a seaman, like a guy in the that was in the ship,
whole helmet and everything.
That they saw like briefly on the
Yeah.
it was just on the cameras or something they saw him, I think.
And there was
and
another
then
one.
later he like Beth. Or was it Harry? Harry, while they knock him out or something, or while he's asleep, they're gonna go inject him, but he's just asleep, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he manifests these two guards.
The guards at the door.
Yeah, at the door. So it's like now we're just manifesting people.
Yeah.
It's like it gets pretty crazy in the book.
Yeah, they had cool stuff. I like that. I don't know if the same one. There's one they see someone on the screen, but isn't there another one where someone walks in and they actually see them, and then they're like, "Who is that?"
Something I don't remember.
But just stuff like that. And the guards is an obvious one.
And like in the book, there's also a couple other characters that I didn't write their names down. There's two other people down there other than the Queen Latifah Teenie Fletcher character. There's two
there's
others.
like the archivist.
Yeah, and then the tech person.
Yeah.
And then the cook.
Oh yeah.
The cook's not in the movie either, right?
No, there wasn't.
Yeah.
A cook.
So there's a lot more
there's
characters,
more.
and they just slowly die off.
Yeah, and it is more slowly. It did seem really fast in the movie, like the squid attack. I don't know, the military guy dies who wasn't even originally there, and that's when Ted dies too.
Right. Yeah.
That seemed like really fast. I was like, oh, is it ending already? Like everyone's dying. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's about it.
That's about it.
Yeah.
One other thing I wanted to mention is that this will transition well into our talking about whether it's underrated or overrated, but I feel like the book could have caught on a lot more and been a big thing. I mean, obviously I loved the book. Maybe if they did a better job with the movie, it could have caught on like Jurassic Park. Because similar to like when we were talking about the Under the Skin book and like the little things that could be cultural things, like they could have unique references. Like anytime someone's acting crazy, you could be like, "You went in the sphere, didn't you?"
Oh yeah. No, I mean you're right. It's probably the same thing where the movie not being very good, most people kind of thinking or kind of thing. Where not like Jurassic Park, like everybody knows Jurassic Park was great, and so
overshadowed it, and
great book. I mean, I like most of Michael Crichton's books. They're like this, they're
here's
thrilling.
our pop-up recommendation. We'll just put every Michael Crichton
put them
book
all down there.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I'm definitely going to start using that. I've already started using it like when our cat is like meowing at nothing seemingly, I'll be like, I think she went in the sphere. It's just a good useful thing.
I know, and it's like, no, you went in the sphere.
There's
a little bit of that argument.
Accusing each other, like, how would you know that, whatever, did you go in the sphere? Yeah. So, on that note, let's talk about our final recommendations. After reading Sphere first and then watching the movie, I definitely say read the book first. I loved the book. I definitely think it's better than the movie. And the mystery of the book is so fun. The fun is in the details. And so the twists and turns keep you guessing, and you'll miss out on the mystery and the fun of the guessing if you watch the movie and then try and read the book. And the book is awesome. It's worth a read, so read it. And I think the movie's worth a watch too, but maybe only if you read the book first.
I agree with that recommendation. I would say read the book first. I didn't do it that way. I don't think I missed out that. I feel like I didn't miss out on anything reading the book second, although I did rate it lower than you did. So maybe I did, and I'm not thinking about it. But
Yeah.
I would say read the book first, because the book is very good. So it's worth reading it without having things spoiled, because the movie is so different. And really, we both, like, even though we did both like the movie, we agree that it's not as good and not super well made.
Not
We
one
can
of the
see
best
how
movies.
people didn't rate it that well.
Yeah.
So watch it second.
Yeah.
It's worth a watch, but
Worth a
second.
watch. Watch a second. Yeah. Sphere the book is my new favorite so far, so definitely please read Sphere by Michael Crichton. So the book, I gave it a 9.2. Ryan gave it an 8.3. That averages out to an 8.75. That is a strong score for the book. So obviously we both recommend it.
Yeah.
And it had a 3.81 out of 5 on Goodreads, or a 7.62 out of 10 on our scale. So underrated. The book is definitely underrated by quite a bit, more than a full point, we would say. So yeah.
And with the movie, I gave it a 6.9, and Dylan gave it an 8.7. So our combined score is 7.8. Pretty respectable,
good score.
and much higher than the 11% critics, 38% audience. We still
Yowza.
also think that's underrated.
Yeah.
And I agree with that, of like, what? I mean, obviously we agree with it, but
Yeah.
that this is very low. It doesn't deserve to be that low, I don't think.
Yeah, because we both agreed that it's not the best movie ever made. There's plenty of things we could say that are wrong with it, but it still ends up being a huge gap between 11 or 38%. It's not that bad. There's, I don't know. Yeah, definitely underrated. So the book and the movie are both underrated.
All right, now let's take a look at where Sphere hits in our combined rankings list.
Check out our ongoing rank here on the
screen. Look at this. The book Sphere hit the top spot.
Yes, I'm happy about that.
8.75. 0.05 higher than All the Pretty Horses.
Yes.
Just barely up there. And the Sphere movie actually tied with the Green Mile movie for us at 7.8. Tied for 5th place. Right, actually not right behind. Like, there's a big gap between our 10 Things I Hate About You score and those two.
Yeah.
In the point value, but it's just above Under the Skin movie, those two movies. But that's exciting. Sphere.
We got a new winner.
New number one.
New top of the list.
Of
yes, and I definitely approve this message, because it's actually at the top of my personal list. So, yeah, that's awesome to see Sphere book at the top. Not that I didn't like All the Pretty Horses. That's cool that that's up there. Under the Skin was underrated, so yeah.
And we'll continue adding to this list, including, if you stick around for next month.
Whoa, hold on there, past us. It's future me here to help you sell your books. That's right, Ryan and I are both published writers. Ryan currently has 2 books of poetry published. Ooh, ah. And I currently have 1 book of poetry published. Ooh, ah. I'll leave links in the description so you can find these and order yourself some copies. And stay tuned, because we will both be releasing more books in the future. The best way to stay tuned, other than subscribing to this YouTube channel, is to follow us both on Instagram. I will throw our handles up here on the screen somewhere. Ryan Kenneth Allen, Dillon Allen-Perez. That's us. Okay, back to us. Take it away, us from the past.
If you stick around for next month, we'll tease you what we're doing next month. We're doing the short story "Why Don't You Dance" by Raymond Carver, in his book of short stories, What We Talk About When We Talk About Love. if you want to take a read of that.
Yeah, read that short story and then watch the movie Everything Must Go from 2010 starring Will Ferrell. Yeah. Or watch that movie first and then read the short story.
Yeah.
Who knows what order you want to do. Next month, we'll give you our recommendation for which of those orders gives you the best experience. So,
yeah. And that's it for this month's episode. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. Tell us what you thought about our ratings in the comments. Tell us which way you did it, what you thought about it.
Tell us why you hate the Sphere movie so much that you rated it that low.
Only 38% with the audience.
Yeah.
And hit the notification bell so you get notified of everything we got coming. Click these videos we got on our screen. We got some recommendations for you for our other videos if you haven't watched them already.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next month.
Yeah. Bye.